Tell me a little bit about Leonardo da Vinci.
Da Vinci is from Italy, originally from the town of Vinci. He became Verrocchio's apprentice at the age of 14 when he studied art, humanities, and science. He's generally known as the Renaissance man. And not only does he do paintings and art, he's also known for architecture, mechanical design, geology, and anatomy.
Where does Leonardo da Vinci paint?
The majority of his paintings were done in Florence, Italy, as well as Milan.
What is some of his most famous artwork?
Definitely his most famous painting is the Mona Lisa, but others that fall close behind are The Last Supper, The Virgin of the Rocks, and The Vitruvian Man.
Do you have any fun facts about Da Vinci?
Well, actually, he was left-handed, and he didn't feel comfortable writing the normal way, so he wrote all of his letters backwards, so that anything that he has written, scholars have to use a mirror in order to read, because all of the letters are perfect mirror images.
Let's talk about the Vitruvian Man.
Traveling back to Florence during the Renaissance period allows us to find Leonardo da Vinci hard at work drafting one of his most famous sketches, the Vitruvian Man. I always appreciate time when I can focus on my work and studies, such as the one I'm currently drafting, as opposed to those done through commission. Projects like this allow me to blend different aspects of my own life together, such as mathematics and art, to better understand the world around myself. This study in particular is going to illustrate work done by the great Roman architect Vitruvius, specifically in the treatise De Architectura, which gives rise to the idea that the human body is the principal source of proportion, showing the very important connection between man and nature that arises many times in the works that I enjoy doing.
When you first look at this painting, it only looks like there are two bodies overlapping. However, part of Da Vinci's genius is there are actually 16 different combinations of outstretched limbs attached to the torso.
Did you know the name means the proportions of the human body according to Vitruvius?
This painting is very reflective of the Renaissance. One of the reasons why is it's very precise with exact measurements. This can be seen if you look closely, especially at the face where there are horizontal measurement lines. The body also fits exactly along the circumference of the circle and along the sides of the square.
The person looks very realistic, and he also looks 3D.
Da Vinci's linear perspective technique is also seen in this painting. He uses different angles and perspectives to create images that are more realistic.
It's clear that it's just a sketch only for Da Vinci because there are many notes, and it also has an unfinished look. Sapere Videre is a Latin phrase that was coined by Da Vinci, which means knowing how to see. This is a common theme in all of his works. In the Vitruvian Man, Da Vinci is working with the dimensions and proportions of the human body to understand how to see humans. Sapere Videre is also prominent in The Last Supper. In The Last Supper, many of the bodies are placed in complex positions, and Sapere Videre brings the bodies to life and gives Da Vinci the ability to see them in these complex positions. The premise of The Last Supper is that Jesus has told his disciples that one of them will betray him. They are shocked at this news, and the painting depicts their reactions.
When looking at this painting, you can see there are many groups of three. The disciples are all in groups of three. There are three windows, and Jesus himself is kind of in the shape of a pyramid or a triangle. These groups of three can be seen to symbolize the Holy Trinity. If you also count the side panels, there are 4 on each side for a total of 8, plus the 3 windows, which makes 11. There are 12 disciples, but one of them will betray him, which also is 11. One of the themes in the painting is community, because all of the disciples are having one last supper with Jesus before he dies. This painting also reflects the Renaissance because of the mixture of bold colors that are used to make the scene more realistic. If you look closely at this painting, you don't see any halos above Jesus or any of his disciples. These halos may suggest they are immortal saints, and because they're not there, it suggests how common they are as individuals. Jesus is also in the middle of this painting and illuminated in comparison to the disciples. This painting by Da Vinci sets the stage for future paintings and artists as well, including Rembrandt, Adi Ness, and René Cox.
One thing that distinguishes this painting from other paintings of the Last Supper is that Jesus is on the same side of the table as the disciples. This depicts him as more of a common man and as one with the disciples in this community instead of on a separate side, this more spiritual side.
The location for the painting is very interesting, as it will allow the monks that will soon eat here to do so along Jesus and his 12 apostles in Jesus' final meal. At the moment, I'm working on illustrating Jesus as he reaches for the bread with one hand and the wine with the other. This signifies the sacrament of Holy Communion and will act to remind the monks that eat here every day of the union that it created between God and Christians. The distressed nature of the disciples' expression gives a snapshot into the moment Jesus told his apostles that one of them would betray him. This is very important because it is essential that the painting portrays figures in a way that those who will see them will be able to easily recognize the thoughts of their minds from their attitudes and expressions. These figures need to show expressional, emotional, and psychological realism.
Let's talk about the Mona Lisa.
There are many things that have made the Mona Lisa so famous over the years. One of these is the mysterious smile. This has eluded many. Before the Renaissance and in the early Renaissance, many portraits were done only of the profile and were typically cut off the bust. The background was generally a bird's eye view of the landscape. Da Vinci sets the tone for other artists in the Renaissance when he paints the woman's arms because it makes the woman look more realistic. The differing perspectives seen in the Mona Lisa, as well as Leonardo's characteristic sfumato, which is a smoky haziness to make the images more realistic, create the new Renaissance look that shapes the Mona Lisa. Another characteristic that is indicative of sfumato is the smooth blend between colors compared to the sharp outlines and cutoffs as seen in earlier paintings.
Having the figure turned towards the viewer gives a sense of the lady's personality in the painting. This painting is also very reflective of the Renaissance. The proportions of her face and hands are very precise and painted with great detail, which makes the painting very realistic. The smoothness of her skin also makes the painting more realistic. The blending of colors used to make it more realistic helps capture the viewer's eye, which adds to the allure of the painting. There's also a big contrast between the realistic lady scene and the limitless background that seems to continue forever.
Serenity and mystery are both prominent in the painting. The serenity comes from the sfumato and the muted colors as well as her pose. And the mystery comes from the depiction of the subject. The way her gaze looks slightly to the right of the viewer and her enigmatic half smile are both alluring and unusual in portraits, which intrigues viewers.
Currently, I'm trying to finish a piece of work that I hold very dear to myself, since it has taken several years to reach near completion. This work, the Mona Lisa, was commissioned by Francisco del Giocondo. He commissioned this in order to have a portrait of his wife created after their most recent child. Since he commissioned this, it's been one of my more secular paintings, and the use of sfumato in conjunction with perspective has allowed me to paint her with a very calm, enigmatic expression that I hope will captivate people for the time to come.
Now let's talk about the Virgin of the Rocks.
In the Virgin of the Rocks, there are four main people depicted. Mary, Jesus, John the Baptist, and an angel are the most prominent figures. There are actually two versions of the painting that were commissioned by different groups. The first was painted only by Da Vinci, and the second was painted by Da Vinci's assistant, but under close supervision by Da Vinci. Some of the similarities between the two is the pyramid shape that is present between the characters, representing the Holy Trinity and unifying the people. All of the people are in natural poses and look very realistic, which comes from the sapere verde, which is knowing how to see. The sfumato technique is used again to blend the colors and create a hazy background. Both of them have a supernatural, mystical background with rivers leading to nowhere and obscure rock formations.
There are also many differences between the paintings. In the recreation, the angel is pointing towards John the Baptist, but that is not the case in the original. In the original, there are halos on Mary, Jesus, and John the Baptist, but these are not present in the recreation. The pointing may replace the halos to draw the attention to Mary, John the Baptist, and Jesus. The original painting by Da Vinci is more theological, whereas the figures in the recreation look more like common people. In the original painting, John the Baptist is holding a staff in the shape of a cross, but this is not the case in the recreation. In the original, the wings on the angel are very obvious, and they look more subtle in the other as rocks. Da Vinci originally painted the angel in blue clothing, but the angel wears red in the recreation. This may differentiate more easily between the angel and Mary and the recreation, but Da Vinci may have originally used blue for both Mary and the angel to symbolize how angelic Mary is. This is reflective of the Renaissance. All the figures in the painting are illustrated using precise angles to make the painting more realistic, as if the viewer could enter the scene of the painting and actually see the people. Why are Da Vinci's paintings so influential?
Well, definitely some of the common themes are the realistic effect, the sfumato, and the pyramid shape, as we talked about in many of the paintings. Many of these techniques shaped later works that were created in the Renaissance, including other theological works, as well as many art that was created later in the future. The legacy of Da Vinci has lived on and continues to be very prominent today.
At the moment, the Roman Catholic Church is being undermined by the rise of a new system of thought called humanism. This stance emphasizes the value of humans on earth and pushes back against the blind faith of the Catholic Church that I see all around me. People spend their entire lives preparing for the afterlife and have just recently began to care about utilizing their time on earth. Throughout my lifetime, I've seen the rebirth of not only arts and sciences, but also Christianity, as it has had to deal with losing a large amount of its political power, and this has led to the recent rise in secularization.